Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Obidi here. We have met partners in pediatrics and family health. We are a family practice out here in Western Maryland, in Hagerstown, Maryland, and we are excited to bring you our weekly lives. And we have a fantastic guest today, as usual, a dear friend, Dr. Amaka Nnamani, and I am so excited because you are in for a treat. So she's a pediatrician, a fellow peds, and and a breastfeeding advocate like you've never seen. Just a fantastic lady. And when I say like you've never seen an advocate, someone who truly has a passion for breastfeeding, but also truly has a passion for mom and child. So it's not like we're beating you over the head, because you didn't breastfeed, we're wagging the finger at you, but someone who's really sitting down with you to talk about breastfeeding, the benefits of breastfeeding, how we can make this work, and also just how we can make sure that your baby is thriving, however you've decided to feed your baby. So we're excited to dig into all of the nice goodness, but I'm going to let her do better justice to introducing herself so I don't butcher it. So go ahead and tell us all about you, my dear.
Sure. Well, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello, everyone. So my name is Dr. Amaka Nnamani. So a little bit about me. I am Nigerian originally. So I was born in the U.S., grew up in Nigeria until I was 16 and moved back for med school and college, med school and everything after that. Board certified peds, best specialty in the universe. What? Can I hear an amen?
Yeah.
I will do it again in a heartbeat. It's just,
Same
I feel
here.
like I'm walking my purpose. It's just, oh my gosh, like yes. 10 times over, I'll do it. I feel so blessed to do what I do. But yes, I am also the author of the children's picture book on breastfeeding titled Ziora's Quest, Mommy's Real Crocs. It's a children's picture book on breastfeeding, basically told from the perspective of a 6-year-old big sister who wished for a baby sister for like a year, finally gets her and realizes that Sissy just wants to breastfeed all the time and wonders what the big deal is about breastfeeding anyway. She's transported through a portal eventually to the amazing world of Milky White, where she meets with her pediatrician and learns amazing fun facts about breast milk. It's been an incredible journey being featured on like NPR, BBC, ABC, and the AAP's premiere podcast. But yeah, I love to talk about breastfeeding. I should say, obviously, I'm a wife and a mom to 3 beautiful children, ages 11, newly minted 9-year-old, and a 2.5-year-old. So yeah.
Wonderful. So you are speaking not just from a place of a professional, pediatrician, breastfeeding expert, but also from a place of a mom who's gone through the experience herself, right? The ups and downs and all of it, right? I'm supposing, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, it wasn't probably just a beautiful, smooth journey for all 3 kids breastfeeding.
Absolutely. My children will tell you, especially with their brother. There are days when they've woken up and said, "Oh, Tochi didn't sleep last night, Mom. It looks like you need a massage. I'll give you a massage." Oh, they know. I do not glamorize it. It's just, I keep it real. So we know.
But this is good though, because we do want to talk about the realness of it, right? Yes. And all of it. So, maybe first of all, tell us why you're passionate about breastfeeding. Why? I mean, because there's so many things as a pediatrician. We have numerous colleagues who are passionate about all kinds of different things, and rightly so. So what drew you to breastfeeding particularly?
I think also it has to be, honestly, it was my personal experience. So like I said, I have 3 children. I was able to breastfeed all of them, but each child's journey was different. With my first daughter, Amara, who is now 11, I had her in residency. I was one of those residents, yes, I was, who came in pregnant and had my daughter within 6 months.
And actually, wonder, what was I thinking?
What was I thinking? You know what's worse, Dr. Obidi? The worst thing is, worse. My husband lived in Nigeria at the time. So I was like a married single mom. So, or single married, however you want to say it. And I did not know my rights as a resident. I don't even know that we had rights really as a lactating breastfeeding
honestly, at that time.
Resident, right? So I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I lied a lot about when I had to go pump. So I just had to use the bathroom. And then like 10 minutes later, I'm still trying to find a room to literally get into. I sit down, just in time for my pager to go off because and then where are you? And I'm like, I don't like. I just it's like I can't.
Jeez, I would just feel chills and like a lump in my throat just hearing that.
This
Seriously,
is
and I'm not
real.
even like can never experience that obviously, but
I know.
yeah, that just feels like it was a
It was
painful
not fun.
period. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did not meet my goals with Amara. And then my second, I actually also had in residency about 6 months to the end of my residency. Slightly different because I only had, well, actually, I had just a few months of residency left, and ironically, I wasn't able to. I didn't feel empowered. I did not.
Wow.
I still was a
Even
little.
after
I
how many
was very
years?
naive. Yeah, so I think that's really what spurred me on. And then I think 7 years later, as an attending, I'd learned a lot about breastfeeding. I was able to advocate for myself a lot better. So I'm really very passionate about the advocacy part of breastfeeding, definitely also the clinical part, but just really empowering our moms, teaching them about the benefits. I'm especially passionate about improving breastfeeding rates in communities of color, because we know that breastfeeding rates in Black women continue to lag those of other ethnicities. But also I'm very passionate about women that are low SES, low socioeconomic status, because again, especially those women that are enrolled in WIC, that are poverty level or below poverty level, because again, those are social determinants of health that affect their goals. So I would say that's what really inspired my journey. This passion is my personal.
No, that is a beautiful story, a really beautiful, heartfelt story. And let's actually just sort of dive in from that aspect, talking about advocacy. Yeah, oh my God, there's all kinds of questions coming to my head right now. Let's start there. Let's start with advocacy, talk to the mom who can either see herself where you were then, 11 plus years ago, where she does not feel empowered to advocate for her breastfeeding needs, for her needs, with breastfeeding her infant child, or the mom who is about to deliver and is already thinking to herself, oh my God, how am I going to manage this? Because I just feel like I can't talk to anyone about this, or they're already feeling disempowered even before the baby comes, right?
Absolutely.
Talk to those moms. And there are significant others who are listening who can, and if they have a role to play as well.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I see you, I hear you, I've been there, and I think I want to break this in two different parts, like, depending, sad as it is, it's America. A lot of times it almost depends on your socioeconomic status, which way you go, right? So if you are a woman who maybe you're a participant with WIC does a fantastic job. They have a very structured breastfeeding program. They actually have the most structured breastfeeding program in the country, which I didn't know until like a couple years ago as my journey started, because I don't know about you, Dr. Beatty, all I knew WIC for was the gift-free formula, like to sign those forms. And it wasn't until I began to learn about WIC, it's like, oh my gosh, every WIC agency has breastfeeding coordinators, they have peer support groups, they have a lot of knowledge and a lot of information. So I would say definitely make your needs known in your community. Like if you are a woman who qualifies for WIC, talk to your WIC agency about your goals, and they will help you get there. The truth is, they really will. They do a fantastic job. And if you are a woman who you're middle income, higher income, I will start with, first of all, if you're a physician mom, I always start with, there are communities out there, and even if you're not, there's Facebook communities, and there's communities online. I am part of a group called Dr. Milk, which stands for Doctor Mothers Interested in Lactation Knowledge. And it's not just for pregnant moms, it's for physician moms who are interested in just like lactation knowledge. So it's been I'm one of the moderators of that group, and it's amazing to see a lot of empowerment that happens in that group. If you're a medical student, you're a resident, you're a physician, you qualify to be in that group, and it actually there's a lot of resources already, like you could literally just print off. And so I would say, first of all, start off with empowering yourself with knowledge. Knowledge is power. And I think that's one thing I didn't have, is I didn't have the knowledge. I was very ignorant, really.
Yeah. And I can imagine, just real quick, that that you probably have very similar Facebook groups or communities online for other professions also. So maybe
Yes.
you're an accountant, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're like, whatever
Yes.
field it is, a teacher. There might be other sort of like-minded
And it
professionals.
doesn't even have to be professional related. Just literally Google breastfeeding groups for mom. I mean, there is if
A
you're
ton.
Black, there's Black breastfeeding moms.
Yeah.
There's, if you're Hispanic, based on your ethnicity,
Mhm.
I mean, thank God for like social media.
Yeah.
There's a
So you can
lot of
really find
like,
a community that works for you, is basically what you're saying.
exactly.
There's
It's
no reason for
important.
you to do this alone or to do this,
Don't do
feeling
it
like,
alone.
no one's in your corner and no one.
I think that's the biggest mistake any woman can make, is trying to do it alone, whether you're breastfeeding or not.
Mhm.
Having a child is a lot of work.
Yeah.
You need the support of your community. You need the support of your partner, grandparents, things like
Yeah.
that. So yeah, definitely for me, I would say knowledge and community are the most important things to have on this journey, because you are not alone.
Yeah.
Don't believe the lie. Whatever it is you're going through, someone has been there, and you can get the help that you deserve.
Okay. So, getting some knowledge, find a community. Anything else on advocacy before we kind of move on? And also speak to, is there a role for the partner or significant other?
Absolutely. I feel like that's like half of the equation, right? Because, yes, you're the mom, you're providing the milk, but you can't do it by yourself. It's important, really. And I've seen this time and time again, even in my own personal practice, and obviously
Mhm.
personal experience, is you're going to be tired. That's just what's going
Mhm.
to happen. That is
Yeah.
the truth. There is no, whether you're breastfeeding or not, that is just the truth.
I just tell pregnant women, there's no sugarcoating it. You're going to be
There's no
tired.
sugarcoating it. I'm sorry, guys. I mean, but it can be better, I know in the state of Pennsylvania, for instance, we're working on having doulas be covered by Medicaid.
Oh,
I
wow.
think
That'll
that's
be
an essential,
interesting.
that would be fantastic. I feel
That
like that would
will
be a
be.
game changer, right?
Yes.
And I know some states already have that. There's not a whole lot of them. But, if you have your partner, make your needs known. Don't try to be superwoman. And I think that's one mistake that I made. It's like trying to have it all together. You want the clean house, you want the kids looking perfect. I call this strategic underachievement. Decide what is going to be priority. I would
Mhm.
suggest the infant that you've just had would be priority,
It's
and your
priority,
self-care.
yes.
Yes, because you also need to remember yourself, Dr. B.
Mhm.
A lot of
Yeah.
times as women, we spend too much time taking care of our families that we forget that we matter, right?
End up feeling
So be
lost in all of
intentional
that.
about that.
Mhm.
Yes. I know this sounds cliche. Sleep when the baby sleeps, because it's really just what you need.
Mhm.
Let the way the partner can help. You can help with laundry. The dad or
Mhm.
husband, or
Mhm.
mom, grandma can help with laundry. They can help with cooking. I
Mhm.
was actually at this conference where this group started like it's like a baby shower thing, where instead of like people just kind of giving you random gifts,
Mhm.
they have like a book where you
Mhm.
sign up
It's
for.
kind of.
Yeah, you sign up for, are you going to bring food this week? I got food this week. Are you going to do
Mm.
laundry this week? Because
That
it's
is so
usually,
helpful.
yeah, because, baby showers, it's usually like close friends and family,
Yeah.
right? So if
Yes.
you're going to
Yes.
be, and I feel like
That's a
at
good
those
idea.
times,
Mhm.
those services can be as important or more important than the physical products that you
Yeah.
have. Because really, the most important things a baby needs really are mom, dad
Mhm.
or a partner,
Yeah.
a diaper, and food. Like really, that's
That's it.
really the most
Yeah.
important thing, right?
I love the love.
So
That's it.
everything else is secondary, Oh, and a place to sleep, obviously, right? Like a safe place to
Mhm.
sleep.
Yeah.
The nice, cute rocking chair, all those fancy things, they are so tertiary.
All the clothes that you're probably only going to wear once or twice, and
Oh my,
then like,
take it from
go
me.
back to the basic onesie that works.
Let's go exactly. Let's just go back to the basics, right? But yes, so the partners can help with, if mom is pumping, he or she can help with washing those pump parts, right? Making
Mhm.
sure mom is well hydrated, bringing the baby to mom. I know it sounds really basic, but sometimes
Mm.
you're really so exhausted. You're
Yeah.
healing, whether it's a vaginal
Mm.
or C-section. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had both a C-section and a vaginal delivery, and it's just you're in so much pain, you're
Mm.
so exhausted that bring
Mm.
a lot of times just getting yourself up from the bed is
You
work.
really think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so allow yourself to be loved and taken care of
Mm.
as
Oh,
those
I love that. Allow yourself to be
allow-
loved.
yes,
That's
give
big,
yourself permission.
because oftentimes when a mom is not accepting help, there's a lot of deeper things going in there. We can't
Yes.
delve into that right now, but I just want you to say that again. Allow yourself to be loved. Please say it
Yeah.
again.
Allow yourself to be loved. You deserve it. I don't
Mm,
don't believe whatever else you're telling yourself or whoever else has told you that. Allow yourself to be loved. You have housed a human, a full
mm,
human, whether the
mm,
baby was born premature or not. You have
mm.
had a live child, and you deserve to be taken care of. You deserve
Yeah.
to take care of yourself. You deserve to take time out for yourself.
Mhm,
Remember that, whether it's 10 minutes or 15, whatever it is that you can do, of just doing nothing or doing
mm,
whatever it is you love, watching a chick flick, reading a
mm,
book.
mm.
Those find time to do those things that you know that you love to do, even if it's not an hour. And
Yeah.
again, sometimes it's just 10 minutes, but those
Yes.
10 minutes can be golden in
You're
those
trying to
first few
fill your
months.
cup
Yes.
up a little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh
Exactly.
God, because like I said, go on for hours even just on that one topic. But let's sort of switch gears here a little bit.
Yeah.
So you decided to write a book, and you could have written all kinds of things, books, on breastfeeding. You could have written about the benefits of breastfeeding. You could have written about advocacy. You could have written about, the troubleshooting different problems moms have with breastfeeding. You could have written 1,001 things, but you chose to write a book about a sibling, experiencing a younger newly minted sibling experiencing breastfeeding and that interaction. I mean, that's even just like, I didn't even come up with that to start with. But walk us through why it's important to breastfeed. I know we hear that all the time, and I want you to really talk about that, because I know you and I know your heart and I know the place from which you're going to talk about that. Because sometimes, when moms hear about the benefits of breastfeeding, it's not from it doesn't sound from a very great place. It sounds from a
Mhm.
very judgy place, sounds from a very condescending place, sounds from a very like, you better understand, how you're harming your baby if you don't breastfeed. And I
Yeah.
know that's not where you come from when you
No.
talk about that. But it is important, like you said earlier on about advocacy. Knowledge is important, right? So it is important for you to at least know the benefits of breastfeeding and how that play a part in your baby's development. Especially, I don't know if I should say especially, but we did talk about that. Especially for some communities too, communities of color, people of lower socioeconomic status,
Yeah.
just because of the impact of breastfeeding in those communities as well.
Yes, absolutely. So I,
And
I
there's a lot.
think that,
You can handle it.
no, no, I got this. First of all, I really want to appreciate you for validating that with breastfeeding, because it gets a bad rep these days. Like,
Hmm.
oh, those are the good moms, the breastfeeding moms,
Yeah.
and those are the bad moms.
Mhm.
There's even, I don't know if you've seen that commercial. Was it like I think it's a formula commercial actually, where it's like, those breastfeeding moms. Whoa, look at them go.
Really?
And I think
Wow.
society has
Hmm.
done this to us. So if you're a mom
Hmm.
out there, first of all, I want to start by saying you are in a position to make the absolute best decision for your child. But
Yes.
my thing is, I want you to make I want you to make an informed decision, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want that decision to come from a place of ignorance, for lack of a better
Yeah.
way,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
feeling bad, right? There are
Hmm.
moms who plan to breastfeed and things just don't go as planned, and they decide,
Hmm.
this is too hard. It
Yeah.
is. And
Yeah.
there is no shame in
No
that.
shame there at
Remember,
all.
your mental
Yes.
health is priority. Your baby needs you happy,
Hmm.
and completely there. So let's just
Yes.
start from there.
Hmm.
Number two, having said that, I want to emphasize that breast milk is the absolute best choice for the baby in terms of feeding.
Hmm.
Let's not believe the lie that the formula companies have done such a good job of
Hmm.
commercializing and advertising and really just taking advantage of moms, where the formula is called a breast milk substitute. It's not a substitute.
Hmm.
It's not a lookalike. It is different,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Um, this is just a fact, right? And
Yeah.
again, having said this is not coming from a bad.
Yes, yes, absolutely. It can meet the baby's nutritional needs, but it doesn't replace the benefits of
Thank you.
breastfeeding
It
that,
it does not.
yeah.
And we could have this conversation for 2 hours, but I will
Mhm.
get to the basics. The benefits of breastfeeding, there's a myriad of benefits to both mom, infant, and the society in general. We'll start from the mom.
Mhm.
Reduce risk of ovarian cancer, reduce risk of breast cancer, reduce risk of high blood pressure, because we know that especially in Black women, in those first few days and weeks after having the baby, that's actually part of the main reason why Black women have a higher mortality and morbidity rate postpartum, is a risk of eclampsia, even postpartum. And breastfeeding reduces your chances of that. Also, studies that actually show that breastfeeding reduces your chances of postpartum depression because of the hormones that are released. Those hormones that, when you're breastfeeding your baby and things like that, the hormones that are released when all of that happens. So that's just a few of the benefits to the mom. To the baby, you have reduced risk of ear infections, reduced risk of GI infections. For babies who are premature, there is something we call necrotizing enterocolitis. There is a myriad of studies to show that even donor milk, and that's why a lot of NICUs will use that now. But donor milk versus formula reduce risk of necrotizing enterocolitis, which is a serious form of a GI infection that can lead to, intestinal surgeries if where you have to resect part of the intestines, right? You have reduced risk of asthma, which is a big thing, especially in communities of color. So it not only reduces acute infections, it reduces chronic infections, right? And reduce risk of type 1 of having diabetes, both for mom and baby, right? And then to the economy, breastfeeding is mostly green, right? Like for most moms, for most of the time, you are feeding from the source, and even if you're pumping, it's less plastic. Versus, and you're not using cows, which you have to feed, and let's not even go there. So it is climate friendly, environmental friendly. So those are some of the benefits to the mom, the infant, and the environment. And actually, the WHO has done basically their numbers to show that over, I believe it's $300 billion that could be saved on a global level if more moms were to breastfeed, and over 800,000 infant deaths would be prevented if more moms breastfeed on a global level. So the benefits are endless. We could go on and on and on.
Like you said, we could go on and on. I think you've sort of hit the high points. I want you to, before we kind of transition into how siblings can sort of what's the role siblings play in all of this, where you have a family that has other siblings in there. Before we get there, speak for a quick second about the mom who, for whatever reason, either can't or doesn't want to directly breastfeed. The option of pumping, because oftentimes I don't think moms also think about that, or sometimes they're not sort of thinking about that aspect as well. That, okay, I don't want to breastfeed or can't breastfeed, but I can express and feed breast milk that way.
Absolutely. I will tell you the benefits are pretty much similar because it's breast milk, right? So there are moms who exclusively pump. Shout out to those moms. I think I will be honest, I hate pumping. I hated pumping with everything that was in me. I will directly breastfeed for 10 years. I will do it. Pump, oh my gosh. So kudos.
We're also recognizing too that there are some moms who will just rather pump and not breastfeed directly, right?
Yes. No, I know several moms who would do that all day, every day. So that is an option. I know a lot of those moms tend to have more of a routine versus moms who directly breastfeed, where it's just on demand, right? But that is always an option. And then the feedback mechanism is the same because as long as you're stimulating your breasts, I usually say what we call the magic number, which is at least about 8 times in the 24-hour period, 8 to 10 times in the average woman, you'll be able to maintain your supply. And there's moms who have like super producers and can produce a year's worth of milk in like 5 or 6 months. Not super common, but I've met several of those moms. So yes, I definitely want to validate that. And I also want to say, there are medical conditions, albeit rare, like inborn errors of metabolism, where the child just cannot have cannot have breast milk. And in developed countries like ours, basically very rare diseases where you cannot breastfeed. But the truth is, in most medical conditions, whether you're taking medicines, there's just a few, like with chemo and some radiation therapy, where you can't. But most medicines, and I always like to let moms know, again, this is knowledge, and even physicians that because a
Yes,
lot of us
sometimes
might
they're
know.
lacking in that
I
area.
don't know about you, but I got like no training
Yes,
in
neither did
breastfeeding
I.
in pregnancy, right? So we are all learning this, right? And there's data. There's a website, LactMed, where you just go and you put in the medicine and see if it's breastfeeding friendly, like if you can give it to, if it's safe for the infant, if mom's breastfeeding.
Yeah.
And most medicines are safe during breastfeeding. If you have, I have moms who said, I've had breast surgery. Yes, you can breastfeed. If you've had a breast reduction, that might impact your breast supply, especially depending on the kind of breast reduction surgery you've had. I've had moms who said, "Oh, I have a nipple piercing. Can I breastfeed?" Yes, you just have to take the ring out, the nipple ring out, obviously for risk of choking. So there's all these things. Can I go to the doctor's office, have eye drops and breastfeed? Yes. Can I drink alcohol? Yes, within safe levels. There's all these things. Again, as I found, especially in our community, in the Black community, where there's all these myths with no base, right? And because in most
It
conditions,
ends up, and so even in moms who may want to, all these things end up being a roadblock to them actually pursuing that.
exactly.
Again, we could talk about hours for all this, but let's really quick talk about siblings, especially since you wrote about it. I know that there's a special place in your heart, and this is something you've thought deeply about, obviously. So tell us, what role do siblings play, and how do they sort of factor into all of this?
An important one, I think, for me. I obviously, my journey, my children inspired the book. That is the truth, because my now 9-year-old was 6 when she wished for a baby brother for a year. She literally wished for him, so he is a gift to her. So Ziora, and I should say Ziora. The name of the book is Ziora's Quest. Mommy's Milk Rocks. Igbo, it's a tribe in Nigeria. Ziora means teach the world. So I was very intentional about picking that name, and the whole time I was writing it, I was thinking about my now 9-year-old. So she really inspired that. And my daughter, my now 11-year-old, inspired the question that led me on the quest, because you alluded to it earlier, where it's like, why of all books, a children's book on breastfeeding with this big sibling?
Yeah.
We don't have enough time to talk about that, but I will tell you, my 11-year-old, I shared with her, I was like, I want to write a children's book on breastfeeding. And she said, Mom, no offense, I understand why moms want to know about breastfeeding, but why don't kids care? And honestly, in that
Wow.
moment, I did not know. She led me on my journey to my why. Because I was like, breastfeeding is cool. Everybody should know. Yeah. And she was like, Mom, but that's not enough reason. Like, you need to have a better. She literally called me, this is my loud daughter. So I really thank God for her, because she really led me on that path to finding my why. But, to answer the question, why siblings? Because obviously, in children are very inquisitive, they're very curious, and it's important that we address those questions that they have, right? And not just like, just because baby just needs to feed because. And I address that. I've had kids who are like, I want to help mommy breastfeed, right? Why can't I breastfeed? And I address that in the book. Well, because there are hormones that your brain talks to your body to make milk, and the more baby feeds, the more milk mommy makes, right? And for me, I think the most important part for me was really empowering them to induce a breastfeeding culture change. I imagine a world where children who will become adults are breastfeeding is normalized for them, where they make those informed decisions. I know for my children, it's been normalized. I know my daughters are going to grow up and just know. Like, I don't know that my 9-year-old has seen formula, and I'm not saying this from a place of, oh my gosh, I'm so amazing, but I know it's just what we see is what becomes normalized. I did not glamorize it. They're not going to expect that breastfeeding is going to be a walk in the park. They know. And I want that to be the story for every child, where it's like, I know the benefits to the mom. I know benefits to me. I know that it's not the easiest thing, but at least I have that knowledge. I want to be able to induce that breastfeeding culture change for children all over the state, country, and yes, I dare say the world, right? So for me, that was a very important piece of writing this, is to normalize and educate. So I really call it my 3 E's now, which is to educate, empower, while entertaining, because kids need to have fun.
Certainly are.
Benefits of breastfeeding. So yeah, that's it.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. But we're gonna have to leave very soon. But maybe any last words of wisdom, any last words that you will leave with the listeners who are going to be watching this, in months, weeks, days, weeks, and months to come, before we sign off here.
Number one, Mom, you rock, you rock, you rock, you rock, you rock. Whether you breastfeed, whether you don't, I don't care what form of nutrition you choose for your child. You are amazing. You are enough. You know what's best for your baby. Number one, remember that. Let's start from there.
Yeah.
Number two is, like we said earlier, allow yourself to be loved. Whatever decision that you make. I also just always want you to remember that you are never alone in this path. If you choose to breastfeed, empower yourself with the knowledge. Find a community, whether it's not, I feel like your spouse and your immediate family is important, but as important is your external community, other moms who are walking that path with you, who are going through it. So you're like, I'm not crazy because this child is, breastfeeding every 30 minutes, legit. Like, I'm not losing my mind. He doesn't have a hole in him, right? She doesn't have I remember thinking these thoughts, and it was my friend who was, I was a resident then. She was like, "Oh, Amaka, she's going through a growth spurt." I didn't know what that was until because I thought I was losing my mind because this child was breastfeeding every 45 minutes. I was like, something has to be wrong with me or her, right? So
I'm not doing this right.
Find that community of women that are going through it with you, right? And then empower yourself. I also say choose a physician that is on that journey with you, whatever decision you make, who is able to encourage you through it. And even if they're not knowledgeable on it, who is humble enough to say, you know what, I'm not really sure, but guess what? I know someone who can help, because we need to validate our weaknesses as well. We don't know everything, and we need to be okay with not knowing everything. So yeah, those are just a few things I'd leave with.
Oh, thank you so much. Such great pearls. Well, tell us how we can get a copy of Zira's Quest, if you want to kind of put that up again. Let's see. And where they can get to, sort of get more from you, all the good things, all the links.
Sure. So it's on Amazon. And on my website. So my website has links to pretty much all the purchase sites. Yeah, www.Amaka so dramakannamani.com. And it's available on Amazon and several independent bookstores in Pennsylvania, and where most books are sold. Target, Walmart, and several other places. Yeah.
That's more than enough.
If you want it, you can get it.
Exactly. And what's the best place for them to reach you or to interact more with you?
Oh my gosh.
From you?
I really want to say social media, but I suck at it. I'm telling you, Dr. Beatty, I think today was the first time I logged on in a month probably.
I hear you.
But I do check my messages. If you send me messages, definitely through my email, or the contact us button goes directly to my email. So I would say that's the best way to contact me. But follow me on social media at Zira's Quest on Instagram and Facebook, and I am on LinkedIn as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on.
This was so much fun.
Really important message we had today, and just want to thank you so very much. And for everyone, thank you for logging in or for watching later on. If you do happen to be watching this later on, you can just type #replay in the comments. I would love to come by later on and just say hi, ask any questions you have. And if you're in the Washington County area and we're in Maryland, we would love to care for you. We're a family practice. We take care of both adults and kids. You can call the office at 301-791-7060. And actually today, usually that does not happen, but today I have a second live later on at 7:30, I think it is. You could go on Facebook and see what time it is, but I'll be back on talking about some other very important topics. So thank you again for stopping by, and thank you so much, Dr. Nnamani. Thank you so much for coming on. This was so much fun.
It was fun, and kudos to you. Rock it out.
Thank you. You're so kind. All right, take care. Bye.
You too, bye.